The date is October 5th, and This Week in Modern returns with all the modern news fit to be told. I am Mono Green of Llanowar, returning with a lighter update for this week. We'll be checking in on the modern prelims from MTGO, the challenges, and the trophy tussle. And as we get to it, I'd like to ask you, the viewer, to hit that like button on this YouTube video and leave us a comment if there's anything you love, anything more you'd like to see or hear about on This Week in Modern. In this week's prelims, blue-white control and red-white burn were flying high, while Raging Tilt Monster brought Dredge back from the dead. This week's prelims had sugar, spice, and everything nice. Of the Tier 1 archetypes, only Living End didn't manage a single posting, with Hammer Time, Rug Rhinos, Murktide, and Jund all having a couple of appearances. Burn really seems to be finding a weakness in the metagame, repeatedly showing up in large numbers, as it did in last week's Showcase Challenge. The Dredge list, mentioned earlier, has moved away from the red-white Strixhaven release Thrilling Discovery in favor of new Innistrad card Cathartic Pyre, which offers flexibility in being able to hit a range of creatures and planeswalkers for 3 damage. The deck is also rocking 3 copies of Silver Smoke Ghoul to team up with Creeping Chill, and an interesting mix of flex slots, 2 Ox of Agonis, 2 Conflagrate, and 2 Dark Blast. The Greentron list, played by Otakun, was rocking a large number of creature threats, 12, including 1 Walking Ballista, 1 Emrakul the Promised End, 2 Ulamog, 3 Thragtusk, and the full grip of Wormcoil Engine. Brewer and competitor Talisker came in firing hot with Glimpse of Tomorrow combo, and there was a surprising appearance from a 4-color Saheeli Cat combo. So a quiet week of development and innovation to be seen in the prelims, but the rise of Burn may lead to some adaptation to be seen in this weekend's challenges, or Dredge might be able to take center stage. All things are possible when the Weekend Warriors come out to battle. This Week in Modern presents Challenge Recaps. The total lack of Living End in the week's prelims before has led to an opening where the deck has stolen the day on Saturday, and this week is no exception, with taking the top spot, Belfi on Living End. But this was not the stock blue Living End deck, but rather a less common Griefless Teamer version. This version boasts 4 main deck copies of Endurance, 2 Subtlety, 2 Bone Crusher Giant, 2 Foundation Breakers, 2 Deadshot Minotaurs, and generally appears to have a much better plan of just casting 3 mana and 4 mana cards. This allows the deck to have the ability to more comfortably pivot to a slower, tempo-oriented deck. And joining them in the finals is the return of fan favorite, the ultimate money pile, Elementals. But this is not the lean, mean value pile we were seeing repeatedly before, but a version full of 1 of Elementals, without any copies of Flamekin Harbinger, but instead using 3 copies of Eladamri's Call for this function. Thunderkin Awakener, Endurance, Omnath Locus of the Royal, and Muldrifter all exist as 1 of tutor targets. And as astounding as the inclusions were, the exclusions may be even more surprising, with 0 copies of Notorious Time Cop Teferi Time Raveler. Very well piloted by Kai Jimmy. In the semifinals, we see 2 distinct Jund decks, Sagavan and Bausha, playing the new tweak of Yawgmoth, including Magus of the Moon in the sideboard. In 5th place, and at the top of the quarterfinalists, was Affinity, making an appearance in the top 8 proudly, and without Craterhoof, piloted to a perfect 7-0 in the Swiss by Cola Cacao with their 4 copies of Signal Pest. Ad nauseam aficionado Mashmalovsky also made a top 8 appearance on the recently unseen combo deck, with 2 main deck Thoughtseize. Yeah, it's pretty much the only significant tweak from older versions, and some copies of Prismatic Ending in the sideboard. Somehow, this pilot was able to get through the seas of Modern to the safe and happy shores of the top 8. Esper Reanimator and Blue-White Control finished off our quarterfinalists. But narrowly missing on the top 8 is the once-decried, once king of Modern, Niv-Mizzet Reborn. Showing up in a svelte 60-card version, the pile of removal and value, headed by the Mighty Dragon, made it this far with 0 copies of Abundant Growth, or Utopia Sprawl, relying on Prismatic Ending to remove the opponent's early plays, and then carrying itself with Wrenn and 6, Teferi, and flexible, powerful removal. And in 10th place, Thing in the Ice Dress Down Blue Moon made an appearance, showing that the trophy leader's inclination for blue-red control isn't merely a pet obsession, but a viable alternative to blue-white control. Down the rest of the top 8, Legacy Post Enthusiast Into Play was spotted in 19th on, of all things, Mono Green Tron. Dredge made an appearance in 21st place. Mardu Monkey Blade in the hands of Sven Sven showed up in 25th place. And finally, Boomer Luris Free Jund Sagavan made an appearance in 32nd place. Looking more holistically at the metagame of this top 32, there is a very flat variety with 3 Hammer Time appearances, 3 appearances of blue-white control, and 1 distinct Bant variation, 2 copies of Yawgmoth control. But can Sunday provide the same diverse results for us to view? With Saturday being taken down by Living End, there's usually some meta adjustments made to block out the Cascaders, but that wasn't the case this weekend, with Patheus 84 managing the win on Teamer Rhinos with an astounding accomplishment against the field. Last Sunday, the whole challenge was taken down by 4-color Sky Noodle Midrange, and now in the hands of one of its most fervent developers and players, Martinez DP, it has a second finals appearance under its belt in 2 weeks. An amazing performance for a newer archetype, looking a little more tight with no copies of Titania. Rhinos wasn't limited to the finals either, with a copy in 3rd place alongside Hammer Time in 4th. Boros Burn and Blue White also made showings in this top 8, but the more interesting postings came from both Dredge, piloted by Raging Tilt Monster, and Red Green Titan Shift with a Wish package and a Summoner's Pact Silver Bullet setup in the main deck. On Saturday, the Tier 1 deck that was totally absent was Blue-Red Murktide, but that wasn't the case in the Sunday challenge, with 9th and 10th secured by the Swamp Dragon and his friends, as well as 15th, 21st, and 22nd. A huge appearance out of nowhere. This challenge also had some brewing representation. In 13th, a Jeskai Kiki Resto combo deck, Blue-White Artifact midrange with Karn Scion of Urza in 27th place, and fresh off a couple of trophies, Dr. Combo Jiggy Wiggy in 31st place with Blue-Red Grinding Breach. Modern's looking very diverse, competitive, and healthy from its tippy top to its spice-laden bottom, just in time for fall. So, before we take a look at the continuing trophy race, let's scrape out some of this pumpkin spice for digestion. This weekend's 5-0 dumps were a little lighter than some of the others have been, but that's no reason not to check them out for some glorious brewing nuggets. First up, we have pro player Jerry Thompson's call for the best deck in Modern post Modern Horizons 2, returning to the 5-0s. That's right, it's Black-Green Food, but it's back with some new tricks in the form of 4 copies of Willow Geist. Willow Geist can take advantage of Oval Chase Daredevil, Bloodghast, and Cauldron Familiar continually leaving your graveyard, which grows the Ghastly Geist. Dice Factory got a posting in the hands of obviously trash, without too many new additions, but it's always nice to see some Surge nodes popping up in the queues. After the weekend's top 8 with Affinity, 2 different Affinity lists appeared in this dump as well, a similar list to the weekend success, but featuring some Thoughtcasts, and a mono blue varietal with main deck Emery, and seen without hardened scales for the first time in a while, Arcbound Ravager. The 5-0 dump is a great place to take a peek at the lucky lists and potential bleeding edge technology of the week. But let's check in with some of the most successful league grinders this week in the Trophy Tussle.
This Week in Modern presents the Trophy Tussle.
Last Wednesday, for the first time since the beginning of the season, the Pen Sword was passed by Rio Resident and Outra Bomba Brasileira, Capoeira 02. He's been tearing it up mostly with Rug Rhinos, and attained trophy number 12 with Hammer Time. The Pen Sword, not to be outdone, went and picked up trophy 12 himself, and put the race at a tie, with Jacob being on top due to his trophy being more recent. In the previous trophy race, we saw a large gap become generated between the first 2 players and the rest of the pack, but we've got 35 days and 12 hours remaining in the race, so let's take a look at where the standings are now. Tied for first with 12 trophies apiece are Jacob the Pensword Comiskey and Capoeira 02. The Tunneling Cat, continuing to dog in third place, has 10 trophies, but she's ready to make that leap to the top any day now. Previously Amulet Master Punt Then Whine is in fourth place with 9 trophies. And tied for fifth place are Skynoodle mid-range innovator and competitor Martinez DP, and last season's sudden upstart, the master of Ressort Balance, Silent Sea Song. There's a small group of 3 trailing at 7 trophies, including Black-White Griefblade expert Nazart and Yawgmoth aficionado Demonic Tutors, and a wider field of grinders and streamers at 6 trophies. We're still working on the infrastructure for donations to the Trophy Race prize pool, and we should have a more significant update next weekend. Well, that'll do it for this week's Modern News and This Week in Modern this week. But if you've got a deck or story in the Modern format that you think is worth being talked about, we'd like to hear it. You can contact us on Twitter at TwimMTG or email us at thisweekinmodern@gmail.com. For now, this is me, Mono Green of Llanowar, wishing you the best of top decks and the best of luck.